So I'm going to start and hopefully be able to build on what Mrs. Shapiro spoke about in elementary and in the classroom and kind of bring it into the extracurricular as well and in high school. So there was once a crew of construction workers that had to fix some sewer issues, and they decided to put up a sign for any drivers that were going to pass along the road where they were working. And they put up a big sign, and it was in Israel, so it was in Hebrew, and the sign said, "Road is closed." The thing is, the exact area that these construction workers were working was around the bend. So drivers would be driving. Around the bend, these construction workers are working. But what do you think Israeli drivers did when they saw a sign that said, "Road is closed"? They kept driving. And so one by one, Israeli drivers are driving, turning the bend, even though it says road closed, seeing, oh, the road is really closed. There's really construction happening, making a U-turn and driving back, only to see another sign that the construction workers had left them. And it said, "We told you so, but you didn't listen." Sometimes we go through life and we hear things, and we hear warnings, we hear encouragement, we hear things, and then sometimes we have our own moments where it was like, the "I told you so" moments, or when we didn't listen, even though people that came before us showed us the path and gave directions. So I wanted to share a little bit my short little story and then share where that took me. A few months ago, I was struggling with something in my personal life, and I was very worried. And I was doing a lot of research and trying to figure it out. And one of the people that I was talking to is actually a fellow children's book writer, Miriam Yerushalmi. And I was discussing, I had some questions for her, and she threw a question out at me from left field. And she said, "Sara, have you been davening lately?" And I was like, okay, can we not discuss that right now? I asked you a question. I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling concerned. And she's like, "No, actually, if you focus on davening properly," and she recommended that I read her book, Reaching New Heights Through Prayer and Meditation. I believe that's what it's called. She said, "If you're going to daven properly and learn, that itself will be the solution for you." She's like, "Yeah, I'll answer your question." So I hung up with her really a little bit disappointed, because I love learning. I have no problem. I took out the Hasidus Mubaris from my shelf, and I was like, I'm going to learn about this Tefilla. But I felt like it wasn't really it. That it couldn't be that davening and learning could help me so much and really calm me down. The next morning, on a WhatsApp group of letters of Emunah and Bitachon, and the letter is, I want to read it to you. The Rebbe is writing to a woman who was struggling with peace of mind. And the Rebbe says, "Besides, there is nothing more conducive to attune the mind and heart towards the consciousness of God's presence than regular prayer, where the first condition is know before whom thou art standing. Fostering this consciousness is very helpful for the attainment of peace of mind and general contentment." I'm going to read one more line. "For through prayer and direct personal contact with the Almighty, one is reminded every day that God is not far away in the seventh heaven, but is present and here, and his benevolent providence extends to each and every one individually." And I said, I felt like the Rebbe was really answering. This is written to women. This is talking about our well-being, our emotional well-being, and that davening and davening properly and really thinking about it was really going to impact me. And I decided to try it. And I felt very grateful that this year, the way my kids' buses, for the first time ever, the schedule worked out. I had some time before work, and it really has been life-changing. And so I've kind of been on this mission the past few months. I've been writing for Chabad.org. We did a program in school for Yitzhak Kislev based on the songs, and I'm going to share one of the songs for you soon. But it was going back to basics, that, all the excuses in the book don't matter. And at the end of the day, as Yidden, what we need is that time to learn and connect to Hashem. Because what happens is when we wake up in the morning, our Nefesh Bahamas wakes up really excited. Or more accurately, our Yetzer Hara wakes up really excited. Because right away it has energy to put negative thoughts in our mind, to put us down, to make us blah, to make us frustrated, to make us upset, to make us not motivated. And if we're not going to counteract that by putting active thoughts of the Nefesh Elokis, we're not going to plug in, then guess who's winning the game? And so in order for us to have a chance, both for Ruchnius and Benefesh, at getting into our day with an equal amount of excitement for our Nefesh Elokis, we need to not just roll the words off our tongue. You know, growing up, I kind of had this vision of davening like a man in a tallis in the city of Lubavitch. You know, it was for men to sit and be mired from tefillah, like, you know, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm exempt, da, 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 da. And then I remember learning that Rebbetzin Rivka spent 20 minutes being myrich, being mispainin on the word echad. And when I read this letter, the Rebbe taught me that actually turning on my brain and thinking thoughts about Hashem is not really just for a man wrapped up in a tallis. It's for me. If I have to have Avos Hashem, if I have to have Yiras Hashem, if I have to have the tools to fight against my Yetzer Hara, then I also need to daven like a mensch. And by learning and trying to practice it myself and seeing how it's impacted me, it really spills over. Because, you know, the girls in school wonder sometimes, are the adults around us really davening? Like, you know, it's really nice they're making us, but are they? And when we actually take the time to daven, it trickles down to the students, to the shluchais, it goes down. So whatever grade you're teaching, right? It's easy for us to make a checklist on the fact that we davened with the kids on their level. But the truth is that when we learn what davening really is, that's not enough. Unless we're actually able to daven properly with them. What we really need is our own avodah. So I would love to, in the time that I have, share a couple of thoughts that I found really, you know, were a mind shift for me. And even if I knew about it years ago, it's really not enough to know. And that's what was so interesting about learning is that the Alter Rebbe keeps saying in the entire Aaron does my marm that knowledge is not what's going to get us to have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. It's pulling the knowledge out, you know, it's like having stored information in a folder somewhere. You have to take the folder out and read it. It's bring the knowledge to the forefront. It's thinking about it. And yes, when I spend time thinking during davening, you know, by nature, I love art. I love artistic things. I love imagery. It like, you know, excited my imagination when I started thinking, actively davening with my brain and my mind, it brought my heart on board. So the first mind shift for me was that davening was not really for my neshama. Because my neshama already is happy up in Shemayim, connects to Hashem. It was like a light bulb moment for me to realize davening is all about my nefesh Bahamas. Which means that same Yetzer Hara that I was talking about before that wakes up upset and shooting negative messages or, you know, whatever form of Yetzer Hara our brain comes up with, that's the guy we need to get on board. And it's almost like a mushal of like eavesdropping. You know, like when you're a kid and you hear the adults having a conversation, you just want to listen. Our Nefesh Bahamas' job during davening is to listen to the shira, to the song of our neshama. And when I started looking at it that way, it was so different. I was like, let me hear what I'm saying. Let me think about it. And I can't think about everything every day, but one day I could think about how Hashem takes the sun out, and one day and the moon, and one day I could think about how, you know, all the different parts of davening, Berchas HaShachar, Psakit Zimra, as Mr. Shapiro wrote the buildup of it, my Nefesh Bahamas needs to get excited. I need to convince my Nefesh Bahamas this is the best thing ever. And it was really a beautiful cycle, because the more my Nefesh Bahamas saw the benefit that it had for itself, because I was so much calmer, I was so much more present, the more it wanted to daven. And that's really what davening is all about. It's not about getting our neshama happy. It's about getting our Nefesh Bahamas happy. It's about bringing it on board. It's about speaking its language. Nefesh Bahamas, who love life, who gave you life. It's talking the language of the Nefesh Bahamas, and only we can make sure that it's listening. Hannah, could you play the first song I want you to hear? We did a whole program on explicit, like I mentioned before, about davening, and Hannah could share some of the other songs afterwards and some of the lyrics. But I just wanted to share one with you now so you hear. And girls, we have different ways that we can give messages across to our girls. We could teach it in the classroom, and sometimes through something extracurricular, the same things that we wanted to say enter deep into their heart. So if you could play that song.
Okay, sure, here it goes. Just a second, let me try that again to make sure you're seeing the right screen.
The curtain fall, the spotlight's on me. My lips move silently, stumbling through. I know the drill and what I must do, but my heart feels so dried out. This all just feels like an act.
I hear shots.
Let's get this straight. There is no need to go in person.
Just a second.
Should we do it soon, Hannah?
Sorry, were you hearing or you weren't hearing that?
First we heard it staticky, then we heard it well, and then we stopped hearing.
You stopped hearing. Interesting. Should we try one more time? And if not, we'll send it.
Let's try one more time. If not, we could WhatsApp it out or email it. All the songs.
Absolutely. Did you stop hearing it when we went to the words on the screen? Was that, or no, you saw the words and
okay. Staticky.
Okay, let's try it one more time. Let's give it one more try. Okay.
The curtains fall, the spotlight's on me. My lips move silently, stumbling through. I know the drill and what I must do, but my heart feels so dried out. This all just feels like an act. Stop the show, let's get this straight. There is no need to go impersonate the animal controlling you. Make it part of this experience too. To elevate, yes, here's the plan. Speak the language that it understands. You're channeling that passion strong. It's a new story when it joins along. Taking what I love and taking what I love and all behind it all refocusing. I just can't help but sense some feeling inside. The words I say, they start to come alive. Each breath, each stroke, each note uplifting me. Hashem behind it all eternally. I just can't help but feel excitement inside. Experiencing Tefilla now. It's my both my souls now work in synchrony, each with their role. The words I say now radiate energy and meaning, joy and light. My actions are the same, but I'm not faking now. My personality's expressed loud. Journeying with pride, love so true and whole, flooding through each crevice of my soul. Yes, this is my life, and I'm on board.
Thank you, Hannah.
Okay,
so yeah,
back to you.
Share the other songs later, but that was part of the, the idea of looking at it, of inviting the Nefesh Bahamas on board. There was another point that took me when I was learning. There's a famous story of one of the Hasidim. Now his name is slipping my mind. Mipramishlan, Reb Meir Mipramishlan. Hannah, do you remember the name? Slipping my mind. Yeah, it is Reb Meir?
Yeah.
Okay. And the famous story is that he wanted to go to the mikvah and it was very icy, and his students were worried about him. And what did he do? He went and he climbed a very steep hill to get to the water, body of water that he wanted to, and he made it safely back. And they asked him, how was it that you were able, that you weren't afraid? And what was his answer? When you're connected above, you don't fall below. There's a lot of talk today about addiction, about, and there's even like a sinister connotation to different things that people can get addicted to. And on a smaller scale, many of us feel addicted, whether it's technology, to food, the world. The world is addictive. The Alter Rebbe explains is that all of us have a midah of yesod, of bonding, of connecting. And what does our Nefesh Bahamis try to do? It tries to get us to be so connected to the point of obsession, compulsion, addiction to physicality, to indulging in pleasure, and to the point that it traps us. And, there's different ranges and different people in different ways. But what's the solution? The solution to when our yesod has been hijacked is to channel this same midah of yesod, the same midah of connection. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says about davening. Davening is connecting so strongly to Hashem that it could schlep us out of whatever we're currently struggling with. And that's why throughout the day as well, when we're struggling with something, closing our eyes and connecting again to Hashem can pull us out of it, can free us. Because it's that same midah of yesod. And when we're connected above, it pulls us out from below. And when we explain this to the teenagers, a lot of them found it very relevant. So it's not just writing it, in English for Chabad.org article. And it's not just experiencing for ourselves, it's believing that it's true. That connecting to Hashem and davening, connecting to something higher is the solution. It's the spiritual, it's the ruchnistic solution to free ourselves from the entrapment of the physical world. Because that's the root. The root is that we have this innate soul power of yesod, and it's supposed to be used for holy things, for Hashem, hiskashrus, which is connection to the Rebbe, healthy connection to people. So I call it attachment theory 2.0. That the more we attach to Hashem, the more davening is real. And the way we make it real is by learning before, by thinking about what we're saying, by having an experience. The more we're free from distraction, from temptation, that even we don't want to be jailed by, because we want to have control. We want to have say in our day. We don't want to feel like we're just slipping down the ice. We want to feel like we're so connected to that rope, to the point that we don't fall. So that was the second mind shift for me, to really believe, not just getting my Nefesh Bahamis on board, that this was the solution. This was the connection that I really was craving. And it's interesting because in Miriam Yerushalmi's book, she also writes about it. She says all the feel-good hormones, right? Oxytocin and endorphins and serotonin, and like from an interesting lahavdil scientific perspective, davening can get us all the feel-good hormones. Because if I do feel so connected to Hashem, that's the oxytocin, that's the feel-good connection hormone. So even on a gashmistic level, when I'm davening properly, it impacts me. How much more so on a ruchnistic level? And how much more so when I, have that MS, it lasts forever. Chana, how much more time do I have?
You can wind down, within 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to share one more point that I also found very encouraging and very inspiring. Reb Zalman Zesmer is a chassid, and he shares that there was once a lamdan who did not learn chassidus, who was wise, who was smart. He also had great midas. And he came to the Alter Rebbe and he said, I don't understand. Why do you need chassidus? I have good midas. I'm a lamdan. What would chassidus add? And the Alter Rebbe said to him, you have good midas the way an animal has good midas. The way an eagle is kind because an eagle takes care of its children. Or the way a raven is a predator of an animal. You didn't work on your midas. That's what Chassidus demands from us. Chassidus teaches us to work on ourselves. So for those of us, for most of us, who feel like davening is really hard, it's hard for me to focus on so many Hebrew words. It's hard for me to focus, period. Chassidus opens our eyes to the beauty of the struggle and that Hashem appreciates it. Because every single morning, Mr. Shapiro mentioned how the Malachim take to saying Kadesh, Kadesh, Kadesh. They wait for us to say Kadesh, Kadesh, Kadesh. They cannot make the declaration until we say it in davening down here. The question is why? I mean, Malachim are Malachim, and people, the most spiritual people that you might know, other than tzaddikim, will have had thoughts that are, not 100%. We're not perfect. So why do Malachim wait for us? Because Hashem values it more. It's like if you ever, if you ever lost something that was really valuable for you. I lost my license, or if you lose a phone and you're looking for it, when you find it, you appreciate it so much more because you lost it. That's the way Hashem feels. We as people, we lose it sometimes. We lose our cognitive awareness that Hashem is always recreating every single second, that Hashem is running the world. So when we find it, it's that much more beautiful for Hashem. Malachim, there's no kunz. Malachim, there's no avaida involved. So they wait. Hashem wants the people. And that's so empowering to us because, yes, the fact that we struggle, and the fact that we forget, and the fact that, that we might get distracted 6 million times during davening, Hashem is still waiting for us. Because Hashem wants me to stay holy. Hashem wants me to say Kaddish. Hashem wants me, with all my imperfections, to try to say one paragraph of Tefilla, to think about what it means, to get excited about what it means, to bring my Nefesh Bahamas on board, because Malachim are bittul. It's like big whoop that they acknowledge Hashem. They have no existence. People are full of yeshus. We're a yesh. And when we become ayin, when we say this world is nothing, it's only Hashem, and it's being recreated every single moment, by Hashem. When we say Hashem Elokeinu, it's our God, when it's real for us, that gives Hashem unbelievable chesed. So unbelievable pleasure. So when our teens come to us telling us it's hard, we turn around and we say that's exactly why Hashem loves it so much. Hashem doesn't need the Malachim only. In fact, the Malachim sit and wait every single morning for us, and the light that we draw down is so much greater. Because it's not just a ray of light, it's Hashem's essence. I'll just wrap up with this tiny story of Meir Afton, actually my husband Zayda, and somebody once asked him, you finished davening? And of course, what did he answer? He answered, I finished mincha. A yid never finishes davening. So hatzlacha to all of us on this avaida of davening that we never finish, that we're always working on, that we're always experiencing, and that we're always reminding ourselves it's about connecting to Hashem from higher, from above, so that we don't fall down below. And that we're filled with this love, and that when we think these thoughts, there's no way that it won't trickle down to all of our emotions. Thank you again, and hatzlacha.